I thought we'd have a quiet New Year's Eve, but it looks like two new lawsuits have now been filed, one by Justin Baldoni and the other by Blake Lively. Justin Baldoni filed a $250 million lawsuit against the New York Times over Blake Lively's story, and it relied on her self-serving narrative. His complaint is 87 pages. It's been filed in LA with the Superior Court. I haven't read it yet, but apparently he shows text messages that paint a different picture. One apparently from Blake Lively blaming her assistant for not getting her the updated batch of script pages. And the other, if you remember, Blake Lively in her complaint said that he had repeatedly entered her makeup trailer uninvited while she was undressed, including while she was breastfeeding. But in his lawsuit, it showed a text message where she sent to him saying, "I'm just pumping in my trailer if you want to work out our lines," to which he said, "Copy, eating with crew and we'll head that way." Justin Baldoni is accusing the New York Times of promissory fraud and breach of implied in fact contract. It also offers a rebuttal of the narrative set forth in the 4,000-word article that has rocked Hollywood and led the WME agency dropping Baldoni as a client hours after publication. According to Justin Baldoni's lawsuit, Ryan Reynolds allegedly berated Baldoni in an aggressive manner during a heated meeting at their Tribeca penthouse in New York, accusing him of fat-shaming his wife. The suit claims that an A-list actor also pressured Baldoni's WME agent to drop the director during the Deadpool and Wolverine premiere in July, well before Baldoni enlisted crisis PR. As for Blake Lively's new lawsuit, she is suing Justin Baldoni for emotional distress and mental anguish. She is suing him and others in a formal demand for money for mental pain and anguish, severe emotional distress, and loss of wages. Like I said, I have not read his complaint yet, but I definitely will, and I'll be back for more details.
Ooh, y'all, the drama between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively just went to a whole new level. Justin Baldoni and about 10 other plaintiffs, including the PR people that he hired to do his crisis management and the producer of the movie It Ends With Us, have just filed suit against the New York Times for the article that was written that kind of gave us Blake Lively's side of the story. And it is filled with some juicy, good, backhanded, double twisted, all kinds of wordplay games that they say Blake Lively and the New York Times were playing. The interesting parts is that the New York Times article talked about this text message exchange between the two PR people about this Daily Mail negative article on Blake Lively. And in that exchange, one says to the other, "Wow, you really outdid yourself on this one." And the response was, "Well, that's what you hired me for, right?" Well, turns out that the New York Times omitted the exchanges above that one that were basically saying, "Hey, we're joking," and taking credit for a story that originated organically. And then after that, there was an upside down smiley face kind of signifying that it was sarcasm. And the New York Times cut that out too. Not a good look for you, New York Times. Another question is, how did Blake Lively even get those text messages to start with? Her lawyer says it was through a subpoena, but Blake Lively never filed a lawsuit. She filed a complaint with the government, but she never filed a lawsuit. And you don't get subpoena power until you file a lawsuit. So either they lie in and somebody gave them to them, or they hoodwinked the person on the other side of the subpoena, which I highly doubt, because this is a very sensitive area and they would have had legal counsel look at it who would know you don't have the right to subpoena anything from me until there's a lawsuit filed and a case number at the top of that subpoena. Shit ton of information in this new lawsuit, and we'll get to some more of it later. But one of the other interesting parts for me is that Blake Lively said that one of the producers of the film, Heath, sent her nude, pornographic type images and videos of his wife. Well, in this new complaint filed by the 10 plaintiffs, including Baldoni and Heath, he says that the video was of his wife giving birth, a water birth. That's not pornographic. And honestly, he said he did it to help her with the scene in the movie, the childbirth scene in the movie. You're not looking good here, Blake. I'm telling you, I'm so up and down on who to believe in this mess, but there's a lot more, and we're going to continue to follow it down that rabbit hole.
You cannot go on the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni roller coaster because it's really more of a seesaw. So it's a media war, a court of public opinion war, in addition to a court of law war. And the reason that's problematic, not unlike a revolting divorce, is that the personalities here both have a vested interest in their media personality currency. So there is a lot of financial damage being done to both of them right now because of the media battle, because of the court of public opinion battle. They're both taking severe hits. And what's happening is each person's PR team wants to get their word out. One side files something, the seesaw goes to one side. The other side files something, and the seesaw goes to the other side. But in each case, it's so the person experiencing it on each side, like in a nasty divorce, wants to get their thoughts in. They want their words in. And it's like killing every roach in Manhattan. They're telling their publicists, but get this in, but say that, but leak this, but tell this. And the publicists want to do it also. The problem is the lawyers are fighting a completely different battles. The lawyers are not fighting the same battle that the publicists are. And what often happens is the client is fighting with the plaintiff and the defendant are fighting. Then the client and the publicist or the crisis publicist are fighting too because they want to get the words out. Then the publicist is on the lawyer's ass, and the lawyers don't like sideshows. The lawyers are like, basta. I have my own legal battle to fight and deal with, and let the butter melt. And they have 2,000 other cases. This isn't the only important thing. Maybe currently the most shiny object, but they will be in court all day and have to deal with other things, and it makes the clients crazy. And the only thing I can say is, like in Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, no matter who was right or wrong in the end, both people were severely tarnished after. It does serious damage because both parties become toxic during something like this. So it is not for the faint of heart. And you have no idea what actually happened. None of us were there on that movie set. It sounds horrible and tragic and terrible for everyone involved, but it is a long journey, and I don't wish it on anyone. Trials and lawsuits, and also it may never go to trial. Somehow they may settle for something. I don't know what that could be, and then no one ever then the public doesn't even get their own resolution. So it's nasty business. I honestly, it's a terrible situation. And in this case, what's unusual is PR teams being dragged into it in the public, like their names are being dragged into it. So the publicists are not only fighting now for the client, but fighting for their own lives and suing people on their own. It's honestly an insane situation, the likes that I don't think we've really ever seen. It does end with us for many of the parties. It's like War of the Roses, that bad divorce movie with, you know who it is.
I just finished reading Justin Baldoni's lawsuit against the New York Times, and homie came with some receipts. He did. Now, I also read Blake Lively's complaint that she filed with the CRD, which I guess is not an official lawsuit, but I'm not an attorney, so I'm not claiming to be a professional. But anyways, I read Blake Lively's and I was like, oh, like this is crazy. I always knew something fishy was going on. And then I just finished reading Justin Baldoni's and I was like, there's so many receipts. Like, I don't know who to believe. I'm not taking sides. I just enjoy the tea. Like, these are rich people that I do not know and cannot relate with. So reading their drama is entertaining for me. But I feel like this is lining up to be more entertaining than Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's trial was. Just like with all the he said, she said. I will say that Justin Baldoni's complaint makes more sense to me than Blake Lively's did. And I hate siding with a man, but I'm not taking sides. I'm just...
Whew. Y'all, Justin Baldoni just filed a lawsuit against the New York Times, as I said he would. Like, I didn't say them specifically, but I was like, whatever it's going to turn tables. Watch. So here's the thing. Blake Lively did a complaint, right? So she was like, let me put this little bug in their ear, give them a little scoop, and then they're going to pick that shit up. They're going to run with the story. And then Justin Baldoni said, oh, bet. You're playing checkers, I'm going to play chess. So he went and filed a lawsuit and said, oh, so y'all going off a hearsay? Y'all wanted to run the story and help get it out there? Now I'm coming for a bag. He sued for like $250 million. $250 million you're going to eat for life. And he has receipts too. So that wasn't very smart on Blake's behalf. Obviously, we have to wait for everything to come out and the discovery. But the fact that he was like, oh, we're bringing paper trails to the table. Bet he clocked it. He has receipts and text messages of her breastfeeding and being like, yeah, come in my trailer. I want to talk about this, blah, 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 blah. But in her response, she was like, oh, he would just come into my dressing room while I was breastfeeding. No, bitch. You invited him in there. You and your husband. Ryan Reynolds is quiet. That's all I'm saying. And Jane, the virgin, we're still waiting for you to come forward because we want your side. We need some tea because he had never been in the news the whole like 5-6 years he was on that show. But I don't know. We just gonna have to wait.